Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. It is Memorial Day weekend. It is Sunday fun day out here, and we've got to try and salvage something, and that something is this. I'm going to tell you right now, I use timestamps. Feel free to use them. And, I say that for good reason. It was Magnum Day, 5.9 Magnum Day. I started making this video. You started it, I haven't seen it, and you're right, you have not seen it. I recorded it, as you might have guessed, the way I do things, comparison, socket fitment, the whole 9 yards. It's long. It's like about an hour and 12 minutes. If all the footage was there, and all the footage is not. The last, 30 minutes or so is pretty much intact, and that's where, of course, I'm fitting everything, doing comparisons. The start of it is there, and then I think I had 3 to 4 phone calls with a bevy of text messages, and I got interrupted and taken away from this multiple times. And then the real slap, I could totally salvage that, but there's a point maybe from, I don't know, the 14-minute mark to 25, a good chunk of time where we covered a lot of important stuff. It's like black screen corruption. I've tried really hard to recover it. It takes forever. I've attempted 3 times. And so this is probably going to be really choppy, and for that I do apologize. However, as I mentioned, I've had this now for a decent bit of time, again, because I was trying to record that. I remember distinctly it was Magnum Day. I was looking at the clips last night. And here we are now. So, what I can tell you, it's out of the packaging. I don't know what of all that I'll be able to use or not. But when I grabbed this, I want to say it may have been $5 less than retail as well. They have some funky stuff. If you buy online versus in person, if you come out of there and you're like, that doesn't seem right. There's a caveat online where it says in-store price may vary. You rarely see that with Harbor Freight. It's usually a fixed thing. You could go anywhere in the country and pay $49 for the same item, right? But I was in last Friday night, I should say, not last night, but Friday night, and I picked up another Icon G2, and it was $5 lower than the MSRP online, so pay attention to that. But the big thing, and the reason I mentioned that, I've got to give Harbor Freight credit. Recently, we've showcased the Max 90. Fantastic ratchet. I love it. The thing is at work, kicking butt for me. It broke its first bolt a few days ago. And, the handle is super easy to change. Lots of things going for it. But if you're not a Max super fan, okay, you don't know that thing exists. If your dealer is like my dealer, he has a few of them, but he hasn't put them out yet. Why? He's got axis ratchets he wants to move. If he's got somebody like me that, keeps up with things, like, dude, you got the new ratchets? Yeah, he'll pull it out and make $200. But the way he's got his truck set up, he would rather clear out the axis stuff, right? Before he gets into the new, latest and greatest, if you will. So, Harbor Freight, though, you knew this was coming. They had it at SEMA. They've done their demos, their previews, their little hype up, if you will. Most importantly, though, in their credit, they have the thing, right? It really sucks when somebody hypes something up and then you can't get it. It's unobtainium. Case in point, the Hercules 12-volt die grinder. A lot of times I leave work and I'm unable to get to the store before it closes at 8, okay, and I'm at work before they open. So when that stuff sells out in the first wave and doesn't restock, there's a long lag time. I can tell you right now, when I walked in, this was being stocked. It was a smaller store. It was brand new. It was being stocked. It had just come in type of a thing. I was able to grab what I wanted. I kind of wanted to go quarter, but I bought the 3/8 mainly for comparison's sake, and also since I had 3/8 Icon sockets. That was a big deal to me. What I want to tell you about my trip into the store Friday night is not what I bought, but they've done this. Yeah, the end cap is here. This is possibly one of the best end caps I've seen Harbor Freight actually do. So they're quite proud of these things. They're really pushing them. This is just the bottom. This ratchet chained up over here says "Try me." And then right here, though, I mean, look, that is a nice little setup, I have to say. And if you're curious, this is not all the stock they have. You're like, man, what do they have, 3 or 4 of each one? No, they are also located in the standard location that they've always been in, but they've kind of got them all lined out. They walk you through it. This is a schematic, a blueprint for the head. advertise all the strengths, updates. Pretty impressive. So kudos to Harbor Freight on that front. Now, the first wave of videos, like people that had these sent out, I was pretty disappointed in, but I guess, you know, no one wants to fight the hand that feeds, so I guess you can kind of look at it from that vantage point. There's a lot of things that I felt should have been hit on. First and foremost, Icon, Harbor Freight, they want you to compare this to Snap-on. If you watch my channel regularly, I can safely assume that you're into tools, right? You probably know quite a bit more than the average person. You're interested in it, you care about it. You're like, oh yeah, I knew the Max 90 was coming. You have to realize not everyone falls into that niche percentage, right? Okay. They're just like, oh yeah, I got a Ratchet, it's pretty good. And you're like, what is it? And you're like, I don't know, I just bought it. There's different tiers of people, okay? And you've got to keep that in mind. What's Icon, Harbor Freight does, if you go to their website right now, they're going to say, new Icon G2 3H drive professional locking flex head, compare to blank and save $139. And what is blank? You're like, Matco, you are incorrect. And you're like, what? Look at this thing, it's Matco. Some of you are like, oh, Gearwrench, you know what? Gearwrench wouldn't cost that much. Those are both great answers because that's what this looks like. This looks like a Matco freaking locking flex head. We've got one sitting right here, this dreaded thing, okay? That is the correct answer. When you just throw that thing down and you would ask anyone, I'm talking about you watching this video, me, someone super into tools, has the trucks come by, invests heavily in their, you know, either work or just hobby or interest, whatever it might be, that's a Matco. This is, if I throw down an Icon pliers wrench and the Knipex, you're like, oh, they copied Knipex. This is a copy of Matco, but they're not comparing to Matco, which is funny because the Matco oftentimes costs significantly more online than Snap-on does, which is still hard to believe. But when you dig a little deeper and you're like, why would they do that? Like, that's clearly the Matco mechanism. The head is 80 tooth, okay? And you're thinking like, yeah, what does that have to do? Snap-on's got a synergy that's 100 tooth. They do, but their tried and true time-tested mechanism currently is the Dual 80. The Dual 80 has a lot of fanfare. Most people that are into this caliber who would say that's a Matco, you know, rip-off, are going to also say, I prefer the Dual 80. You could have the Synergy, and the vast majority of people with the Synergy and the Dual 80, or even the 72 tooth from Snap-on, are currently going to tell you, I prefer the Dual 80. So this, you have to give it to Harbor Freight. Like, we didn't just rip the Matco locking mechanism, we ripped the Dual 80 from Snap-on. You're like, no, that is not correct, sir. The Icon ratchets are 90 tooth. Well, you're thinking of the first generation of Icon ratchets. I'm not going to lie to you. All I have first gen Icon wise in 3H drive is that roto head. This is coming out for a reason. In quarter drive, though, I do have this guy. It's not a locking flex head. They didn't offer one. It's just a standard flex head, okay? This needs to be covered. Icon, for whatever reason, maybe it's too much breakage, too much warranty, they need something beefier, something less likely to come in and constantly just swap hands, if you will. That's really all I could figure, because the typical pathway for a company is we're going to come in and we're going to make a bulletproof ratchet, and it's going to be indestructible, and we're not going to have to warrant it. And that's like 24 or 30, 36, 60 tooth, you know, maybe 72 you get to. But that 60 and under is kind of like super stupid strong. The strength comes at a price, which is, of course, finite precision, you know, the swing arc, what you get into with your higher tooth count ratchets. There is a fine line between this thing is unbelievably smooth and this thing breaks all the time, okay, when taxed. There's also a fine line between this thing is bulletproof and, man, I can make like 1/16 of a turn with the space that I'm confined to. 72 seems to be a very, very good point, right? 72 tooth, you've got some Snap-on, you've got Koken, German tools, you come in Stahlwille sitting at 80 tooth. A lot of times people kind of forget that. You think of the Hyperfine from Hazet, which is 90 tooth. Nepros going to be 90 tooth. Icon, first iteration, G1, whatever you want to call them, first gen icon, they were 90 tooth. This marks regression, okay? It could very well be superior. It may not break. It might even be more smooth. It might be way more consistent, but ultimately you have admitted defeat and you have scaled back from 90 tooth to 80 tooth. It's really hard to sell that as like a huge upgrade to the consumer when the consumer might remember that your first iteration was in fact 90 tooth, right? So I can only assume it was probably a warranty type of a thing, and they think this is going to be stronger, and maybe they did tweak it and make it a little bit better. That remains to be seen. If you're curious why I have three. I also have the quarter drive roto. This was my first thing. I was hoping it was a huge improvement over the Pittsburgh. It was not. Pittsburgh surprisingly smooth, and factor in the price, it's tough to beat. I bought the quarter drive because some of you said it was insanely smooth and way better than the 3/8, and then on quarter I went with this, and I've just not really, I was never super impressed by the Icon hand ratchets, right? That's why we were limited with what we had. If there would have been like some blowout clearance, I'm like, oh hey, you know, I could grab that, throw it in a road box or something. But I'm bringing this out for a reason. The packaging. This was a big thing. What I hated, absolutely hated, about the first iteration of Icons is they came in this. A lot of people called these caskets. I watch a lot of toolbox tours, right? There are a lot of diehard, like Harbor Freight people that are like, yeah, I'm going to get Icon, it's the best. And they literally use these. It doesn't look terrible in a box, but it does take up a lot of space. I have foamed these, so they're way more robust. They don't just fall apart. The plastic's not going to crack like it might in standard iteration. But this is gone, and some people might be sad about that. You know, like, man, I loved that. You know, it was my storage system. It looked so cool. I will admit, if you had the drawer space to sacrifice, it does a nice job of presenting your ratchets. Not the easiest, most enjoyable thing to extract, but I could see how some people would like that. Something I've not seen anyone mention, the microfiber, which as you can see has never been used, is gone. That is unfortunate. I thought it was kind of a neat little toss in. But again, you know, would I rather have this or would I have the price lowered to $5? I'll take the $5 off. The point I'm getting to though, what if there was a really good 3/8 roto, okay? When I walk into Harbor Freight, with this, with the quarter drive, if there's 4 on the peg, I'm handling all 4 of them. It's like when I go to the grocery store, okay? I don't just grab the front 5 apples and walk out. I'm gonna, you know, case the entire thing and be like, okay, you know, these have been handled and probably fallen down there at the edge. Let me go back here. Oh, this one's bruised. I do this. If I go buy hot sauce shot, anything with an expiration date, I'm that guy that goes all the way to the back, you know, and then I usually find that the stalkers suck and the new dates are at the front, and you kind of learn the ins and outs of each store. With Harbor Freight, you can go in the Pittsburgh flex heads, long flex head dual drive quarter and 3/8 ratchets. Those are a great example because some of them are nice. Some of them are okay. Some are 50-50. What I mean by that, quarter might be smooth, 3/8 is terrible. Some of them sound like they're going to grenade. Some of them are already non-functional on the pegs. Okay. With this, I had no opportunity to come in and, you know, say, oh, hey, you know, like this one, wow, yeah, this is clearly better than the rest of the 4, or man, that switch sucks, or hey, that switch is seized, that shouldn't be quite like that. It was just a crapshoot. You were just buying what was in the packaging. I get it, part of it probably, you know, theft prevention type of stuff, but for the end consumer, you had nothing. Like, you could not feel that out, you couldn't get a hand on it, it sucked. Okay, so this packaging, which is a complete nightmare to get into still, is better in the sense that this little thing here, which I guess the people that liked that could use this. I wouldn't advise it personally, but if you position it just right, that anvil will extend just enough past that paper that you're able to turn this. You can unlock, in the case of these, the heads, make sure they swivel, make sure they lock back. That's an upgrade. Okay, that is something people like myself kind of said, hey, you need to do better on this. What I'm kind of miffed with is kind of simple. Like, you know, okay, snap-on head, Matco lock. What was the biggest thing I griped about with these. Aside, this is a twofold problem. With this, pretend it's 3/8 for this video purpose. Harbor Freight did one thing, okay? Red and black, that was icon. Pittsburgh Pro, that all kind of went to black and green. Understandable for in-store branding. However, they constantly tell you to compare this to Snap-on, compare this to Matco. This is our premium professional line. This competes with the tool trucks, all right? This competes with the top tier. Well, here's the thing, all right? You know what I do with Mac stuff, and if we ever release now, look at Matco. Did I buy red and black at Matco? No, because I like blue a lot better. Where's the blue handle from Icon? There's not one, okay? Where's the purple? Where's the orange, the green, the yellow? They're not here. Some of you don't care. You're like, oh, we don't care, you know, I just want the Icon ratchet. If you want to be tool truck equivalent, if that's what your goal is with this line, make it happen. Like, you should have had, and to my credit, and Harbor Freight's credit, maybe they've got that planned. Maybe the handle on that ratchet right there is super easy to remove, and they're going to have replaceable handles and custom colors. They're going to be $5 a pop. You can easily do it yourself with a walkthrough tutorial video, or the store manager will do it if they're on site, and, you know, take it to town. Is it going to be online only and we'll ship it to you free of charge? Is it going to be your store's going to have them in the back? Just talk to somebody. I don't know. That could all happen, but you would think at launch they would have done that, and they didn't. And that, to me, is a bumbling mistake, because let's say you're just getting started, right? You come in, you're industrial maintenance or something, got the job, 3 other guys you work with. One of them, relatively new, he went out and he got all G2 Icon. The old guy that's got, you know, like ancient Proto stuff, like, man, that's actually a pretty good ratchet. The middle-aged guy is like, you know, I think it's pretty good, man. You know, if this Snap-on ever bites the dust again, and you're maybe Matco, he was a Matco guy, but the dealer's out of business, or the Mat guy quit coming or something. He's like, you know, I might just buy one of them things. Everybody's ratchet's going to be red. And that sucks, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, if you prefer yellow, or, you know, the middle-aged guy is purple, or he would buy pink so that, you know, no one else would grab the ratchet, right? Whatever it may be, it's simply not an option. Now, if Harbor Freight would have gone for the trifecta, Snap-on head, Matco lock, Mac Max 90 replaceable handle, now that would have really been something. But, you know, you can get into the semantics of it. I'm personally not a fan, but I will tell you this. This thing sucks. Like, I've been 100% transparent with that since I bought it. I've tried to use it. I use Knipex needle nose pliers to articulate the switch. I've tried to break it in. I've got it to a point now, usually when I brag about it, like doing that, then oh, hey, look at that. It's going. But then as soon as we get some motion on that, we're locked down again, right? It's just ridiculous. And I've had this thing for a long time. This is a 5,000 subscriber special, okay? It's a disappointment. The play is just freaking absurd. Thin head, yes. It skips every once in a while. I'm just not a fan. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. What they did right there, if this functions smoothly, is the locking mechanism. Snap-on's locking mechanism, which I've never tried, the one that had the wart on the handle. People hate that, and they said they always incidentally actuated it and whatnot. I can't speak to it. I've never used it. However, if I did theoretically buy the updated one that had a rocker switch right here, what if I told you I might have used that on the very first day in a perfect application for a locking flex head at work, and I slammed my hand into the edge of a table? And it would have been really bad if I didn't have this pair of gloves basically in red to catch that impact of the sharp edge of the table and my fingers. So it still is, it sucks, right? Ratchet action, good. Handle, good. You know, everything's nice, but the lock sucks, and that defeats the purpose like this. The Harbor Freight, the Icon. Could I get in a situation where I'm rubbing against something and accidentally unlock that? Probably. I assume in that same situation you're going to have resistance ahead of time. I think the same could apply here, but this thing just simply does not function as it should, in my opinion. All right. This one, it does. And you've got to give them credit there. The head, it's not bad. It's not, by far, it's not the greatest, most enjoyable thing to use, but you factor in the price point on this thing, and it's a serious contender. I hope and dream that they actually do have the handle easy to remove. You know, I would assume it's not, since it doesn't just slide off like this, right? And that would be a problem for people. But I think they kind of should have done that. I truly believe they should have done that. And again, I get it. You want red and black for icon. You want to simplify things for stores and employees and stocking and shipping. But when you want to take things to the next level, that's something that should have been done. Whether your color is high vis or gray or whatever. And you can't sit there and tell me that's stupid, no one's going to do that, just buy the color. Look at US General. They do a phenomenal job offering colors on the US General line. Yes, you know, yellow may not be in stock at your local store, but they'll order it and get it in. Okay. Purple, the, you know, Destroyer Gray, they've got great color options. And you're like, well, that's a toolbox, that's different. Jacks and jack stands, okay, from Daytona, they do a phenomenal, they actually have, you could argue, better colors on jacks and jack stands than they do the US General line. They've got, like, they don't just have orange, they've got like the sunset color, and they've got like the candy red. Like, they do some cool stuff on jacks and jack stands. I would love to see that come to toolboxes. Similarly, you're thinking, well, that's still not great examples, those are big pieces of equipment and toolboxes, they don't count. There's a reason I buy earthquake impacts for work, and it has 100% to do with the fact that they are colored, okay? They've just introduced a purple earthquake. I think they've got the gray. But I come in and I can get red, and I can put it at this station. I can put the green over here. I can put a yellow back, and I know it's super easy from a managerial or foreman perspective. When you see that yellow earthquake impact at station A, and you're like, that's not supposed to be there, this is the red station, you find out what happened. Oh, yeah, that one broke, or I don't know where it's at. And you're like, well, let's go find it, shall we? You know, or hey, you need to tell me when stuff breaks. You know, I've got some I can issue, you know, type of a thing. There's very, very many different aspects to things than some people might keep in their mind of like, oh, he's just mad because it's not blue. I will say, though, personal preference, if a guy walked by and he hated red, all his coworkers have red, and he's like, man, I wish that was blue, that can be the difference in a sale, okay? You might be like, well, that's why I buy Matco, I can get my colors, you know, type of a thing. Harbor Freight, they could do a huge thing with it. They're pretty receptive to people, unlike, you know, the big tool truck companies. Like, if we had enough people that wanted sunburnt orange metallic ratchet handles, I don't think Snap-on or Mac or Matco is going to care. Okay, I don't think Cornwell's going to care. But if Harbor Freight's like, okay, fine, I'm going to throw an official poll out across all of our social media, vote on it. And then they might come out and have like some crazy hybrid purple and rainbow chameleon or something, chartreuse, I don't know. They'll actually do it, like, even if it was a limited run. I try to get companies to do stuff like that. Believe me, I do. But it is what it is. So, bottom line, G1, locked up, can't feel. Packaging on G2, upgrade. Head count on G1, we went from 90 tooth to 80 tooth in 3/8 and a half. We went from 90 tooth and quarter to 72 tooth. Leaves a bit to be desired. This handle is a phenomenal upgrade over that. And I pointed it out so many times, I've made this video, but this is nothing more than an inverted colorway of a Pittsburgh ratchet. Okay. And sadly, as I look at the time here, it's 23 minutes in, and that's not going to shorten the video much, and I don't look forward to editing something like that, especially with a bunch of unintended stops and cuts. I usually stop 30 minutes because the card time's out, but when I have like 4 phone calls and text messages and stuff, it sucks, right? And I do this stuff after hours on what's supposed to be my own time, and things happen. But I know between all of the times I've attempted to make this, I've covered everything. I just don't know how cohesively and fluidly it's all going to combine and chop up together. So I think I'm going to stop here. That's what I've got for you. I'm going to hopefully be able to piece this together. And I will leave you with the happy note that the ratchet that I bought Friday night, I think we'll do a better job on. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I guess at this point in time, we're just going to throw stuff together with everything else and see what happens. So again, my apologies, but I really need to get this done and behind me. And I will say, ultimately, you know, before you see the rest of this video, there's a lot of things you can nitpick. There's a lot of things they did truly improve upon. And going 90 to 80 could honestly be an improvement. I mean, I wasn't super impressed with the Generation 1, which is why I don't have many. That's why we don't have a long flex head to compare for you. The handle is big upgrade. The locking mechanism actually functions, which is great. Like, that's wanting to go, but it just doesn't go, and I have to shake the head. I don't have to do that here. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, selector switch is fine. Tooth count seems good, smooth so far. I haven't used it like real world yet because I didn't want to destroy it before videos came out, and now I can, so we'll see how she holds up to some real world use. Might take it to work. But when you factor in the price, that's where those things really shine, especially when you hold out for sales. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm going to try to pile all this crud together. Timestamps, as I've mentioned, are your friends. Feel free to use them. And with that said, I gotta go. So what do we have so far? Great. Packaging is an upgrade because you can actually get a feel for it, and you can be like, hey, you know, this one's actually a little better than that one, and you grab the second one in line, right? This actually works in the packaging. Fantastic. Imagine that. A flex head ratchet, that locking flex head that will actually let me, you know, use the lock without pairs of pliers or without having to jostle the head to a loose position. Great. Selector switch, we can check that. Fairly positive engagement. You know, nothing worrisome right off the bat. I'm able to turn, get a feel for the mechanism and compare it to what's there. I can get a feel for the handle, which again, it may not be your favorite. I don't know that there's going to be many people that would argue the previous generation Icons is a handle they preferred. Personally, I think this is a very big step forward. It also feels significantly better in hand, where that's slick. This has traction. Right here, hard, you know, might be slick. This, there is a texture to that. There's a little bit of friction there. You can see sort of the checkering there, kind of enhanced grip. Not a bad looking handle, but I mean, in my opinion, it would look better in blue or green or orange or purple or pretty much any. I mean, I'd take a murdered out handle. All right. And again, I'll pay for it. Like, I get it. You know, this is your safe bet. This is how you want Icon to be branded. It is red, by gosh. Deal with it. But you need to give, if you're going top tier and you're targeting these quote unquote professional brands, that is a selling point of what they do, and they offer multiple colors. And again, it's not just for like, oh, this guy just loves blue. No. If I like this ratchet and I'm like, man, you know what? I think I'm gonna take my chance and throw this down at work. I think it's gonna be really good. I don't want them all to be red. I want to be able to have this station is red, yes. This station's green. So when the red ratchet's back there, that's not where it's supposed to be, station 1, and I'm like, where's the freaking 3/8 locking flex head? And I go and I find easily by a scan of the eyes, I'm like, there it is. What's it doing at the station 2 with green tools? This is a note. Who did this? Why? Don't do it again. You know, it's that simple. And toss in people's personal preference for the aesthetics. I don't know how you don't do that. Maybe, I mean, you know, maybe I'm jumping the gun and they're going to come out, you know, in 6 months and be like, hey, surprise. You know, some of you had pulled the handle off and, you know, cleaned it or stuck something on it, but did you know that's designed? Bring your Icon Gen 2 to any Harbor Freight location, and we've got a special tool for a vise that the manager is going to set up, and we can press your handle off without damaging it and put a new one on. You know, and by the way, handles are only $9.99. Like, they would make money doing it, right? Buy the handle, get it installed, or just make it simple enough for you to do at home type of a thing. Maybe that's coming, but I think that needs to be pointed out. I'll say the same thing about Icon pliers, all right? They've got the red grip. That's how they want to be identified. But what happens if I'm like, man, I love these pliers. I want to get a set for work. Or, you know, hey, you know, my coworker has these. I want to get some, but I'm the green tool guy. you know, and I don't want him grabbing my stuff, or everyone else in the shop is popular colors red, and I'm like, man, I would take anything but red. You're up a creek. Again, either sell them, make them online only, make them something that has to be ordered in. Have you tried to buy a yellow toolbox? Like, nowhere stocks them, like, but they offer it and you order it. Okay, this is something people deal with all the time. The plier grips, you know, again, make it serviceable, right? Removable type of a thing. Just little things to consider, again, when they want to come in and compare themselves sort of to that top tier. But all that aside, I guess we should dive into this thing. Let's see what they've got to say. 3/8 drive head width. And again, I love what Icon does here. They do it with the wrenches, they do it with the pliers, they give you pertinent information on the packaging. Head width 1.21, head thickness 0.5, flex positions 9, increments 16.5, locking range 132, non-locking 180, lifetime guarantee. We'll probably come back to that. Locks in 9 positions, ultra strong flex joint, holds ratchet head securely in position. Here on the back, what do we have going on? We've got fully sealed head, keeps debris out for longer life. 80 precision machine teeth, 4.5 swing. Durable nickel chromoly gear for superior strength. Hardened pawl engages 7 gear teeth for greater torque and durability. Chemical resistant TPV grip provides comfort for extended use. Again, this is going to be designed and engineered in the USA. Manufactured, and again, I did read online straight from Harbor Freight, like, they're going to tell you, we spent 4 years developing this and testing it. I would like to know, like, who is testing this stuff for them, right? With the packaging cut off, we've got kind of the Gen 2 coffin, right? This is very nice. The problem is it's covered by the card tag, which is kind of sad, but what do we have to go through now? Looks like there's a cable tie, and then are we home free, or do we have to pry something up? I bet we have to tab that out too. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're about to the timeout mark anyway. I'm going to cut this thing, get it out, probably come back and complain about that, and then we'll get in to the rack. And we're back, and I've got to say, I definitely will complain. That's ridiculous, to Harbor Freight's credit, as with any retailer, especially brick and mortar stores. I get it, you got to stop theft. It makes everyone else's life a problem because there's a few bad apples. But cable tie, and then that thing. So basically, cut your cable tie. I found a flat blade worked best. Just push that sucker through. I don't know that anyone will be keeping these. I've seen a ton of toolbox tours where people just, they got the whole Icon lineup. These are not very space efficient, but I kind of get what people are going for, right? I feel like some people might actually miss that. Also, I can't imagine someone using this. I guess you know, where that could actually possibly work, if you got pegboard, I kind of think this would stay. Now, you definitely want this locked, and you would be taking a risk. But if you, like, put a magnet on the backside, maybe, for the anvil, it's possible that you could do that. But I think, sadly, for most people, this is probably just going to get tossed. So, but again, you know, nice, thick, pretty durable. I guess you could, you know, lay it down in there. Maybe cut the hook off if you do that. I don't know. Let me know if you've got these, or if you plan to get one. Is that a keep, or is you like, oh, keep? Seriously? Is that a question? Like, that's going in the trash. So, just interesting to kind of know other people's thoughts. But Ratchet out of the packaging finally, and I mean, I gotta say, it's for 69 bucks. It's not that bad, right? Now, granted, time will tell. How does it perform? Initial bench impression, which that's all we can go by here, just like with the Mac or anything new we bring in a tool haul. Not bad. It's not the quickest thing to reset, but again, it's $70 for a 14-inch locking flex head. So, where do I stand with Icon ratchets? Well, in terms of the first-gen Icon ratchets, we have this quarter flex, and we have the quarter roto and a 3/8 roto. And there is something else I'm going to talk about. I've not forgotten, folks. Don't you worry. So you're like, I can't believe he didn't mention this. This, I believe, was the first one, and it kind of paved the way for me to not do much with icon ratchets. I really hope that they revise the Roto as well. I have no news on this. I don't have like insights. This one was kind of disappointing. In part, I personally feel the Pittsburgh and the entire line of Pittsburghs across the globe and whatever rebrand you want are a lot better, and they're also a little bit cheaper. Kind of depends on sale, but like this was just sort of not, it didn't excite me, right? I tried to use it. I kept it with the only icon sockets I have, which is their 3/8 semi-deep in chrome. We do have some impacts, but in chrome, all I've got is their 3/8 semi or shallow. What am I trying to say? Standard and metric semi-deeps. And that's it. What I then had some of you say, like, man, my 3/8 sucked too, but the quarter was good. And so I wound up with the quarter Roto, and it was actually better than some people said. And, you know, hey, this, if you go back, and I mean, even on mine, my videos, you'll see the people, they're like, you know, man, my 3/8 stuff sucked, but this one was good. And it kind of varied, but it usually followed the same pattern where quarter was pretty legit. 3/8 was kind of hit and miss, 1/2 inch sort of the same way. And so I kind of followed some people's advice. I tried this one. This one's actually, I don't really have much bad to say about it, right? Aside from like obvious things. I just don't use it often. So it is what it is. The bigger problem I had with icon ratchets after this is when Quinn came out with theirs, it was kind of like, huh, you know, this might actually be, you know, the smoother ratchet. There was a lot of things I still preferred about the icon, the sealed head, for example, the anvil play. But in terms of just feel and, you know, real world performance, it's kind of like, dadgum, you know, Quinn, the mid-tier might actually kind of like outperform the high-end one, you know, type of a thing. So this is sort of like with Chevy, you know, they try not to ever have the Camaro outperform the Corvette, but there's times like the Camaro could have easily done that, but they have to kind of like nerk it. You know, I kind of felt like, man, you know, this icon line kind of has problems, and it's mainly from the mid-tier at the same store that's sort of better. Now, granted, Quinn is held back by not having a flex head, not having a locking flex head, etc. So, you know, it's kind of pick your poison. But if I had to pick a fixed ratchet at Harbor Freight right now, I'm not sure that Quinn, especially on sale, wouldn't be the way to go. Now, in terms of locking flex, this is your option, right? It is the way to go. I can tell you, just in turning this for a few seconds and in the store when I picked it up, I like this mechanism better than any of the icon stuff I have. Now, keep in mind, that's this, a quarter, and a 3/8 Roto. That's it. Those are the three. Okay. If I would have been huge fans, we would have seen more of them, but just didn't really do it for me, right? This doesn't, this is, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, this is the best thing I've ever turned. It's not. But there's nothing like egregiously wrong with it. I don't feel like it's going to break on first use with anything actually. It very well could, but I don't think it's going to. And when you factor in that this is 14 inches, which is a very nice length, right? That's something you typically would have to go to a tool truck for. We'll verify things here, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with them. At the $70 mark, like, it's just, you know, it's kind of hard to complain. What I can tell you, as we kind of do the once-over on this thing, sealed head, I prefer this, right? I would actually, if you want to, like, bulletproof things, maybe screws from the top. But there's like nothing egregiously terrible jumping out at this. Do some people want a quick release? Sure. Do some people not? Yeah. But for a $70, like, do you know, people think Snap-on's high. Price one of these out. Okay. It is insane. I get it. It's US made, AJ manufacturing. You can do some fancier finishes. All that aside, like, these are insanely expensive. And I can tell you right now, if I had to recommend, just time I've had this and the little time I've been here with this one, I would tell you to buy that all day because it's significantly cheaper and it functions, right? This one, I was very clear. To me, that never should have made it out the door. It never should have been sent to a customer like that. Okay. Past that, one of the things I don't talk about, this thing's prone to skipping, right? This sits out. If you walked in here and you're like, oh no, he's coming and he has a gun, I better run. This would be the ratchet that's out that you could take. I leave it out so I use it. I'm more likely to use it, right? The stuff I've done with it, while it's functioned, and I will admit this has a very, very slim head, which is nice, and I love the colorways, it's too freaking expensive to have that not function. So this is a win right there. Brand SO that I can't show you because we don't have 10,000 subscribers, and I'm an idiot that said I would wait until 10,000 to release the stuff, which is now like almost 2 years old. Right? I may or may not have one of their locking flex heads that would be the newer design. Again, Snap-on's never had this at any recent point in time. It's Matco and Gearwrench that are this style, okay? The former one, seems like everyone hated it. I've never used one. I can't speak on it. The updated design, I have problems with that thing. The very first day I took it to work, and yes, it's at work, I was excited because I had a legitimate situation where I was like, this is perfect for a locking flex head. And I'm working, like I'm standing up, actually sitting, but I'm at a table, you know, and I've got the ratchet over here, and I've got it flexed out with a hand, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, I would have had to use an extension yesterday, you know. And what happened to me? What was my reward? The thing unlocked and I smashed my hand against the table. Luckily, I wear alphas at work as well, so I have like, but like if I didn't have a glove on, that would have been pretty freaking painful. And I've not been a huge fan of it ever since. That said, this at least functions. Again, I can't tell you what this is going to do in a week or a month or with torque or, you know, sitting out in the elements or anything like that. That's long term. But a bench impression, it functions. And that's important because that's more than I can say for this one. To be fair to Matco, I did want to buy another. I didn't really want to, but I was going to when they had a huge sale. I was going to get my nephew one. I kind of like shown him and he was like, ooh, that green's nice. But I was going to go in, and there's actually a ratchet I was going to pick up, and I was going to go chrome, because I have a suspicion that this, like, the black chrome, I think it's a coating they didn't account for in terms of what we're talking, like, minute mil-spec thicknesses, right? So that's all I can figure there, or it's just a defective junk pile. But I wanted to give them a shot. You can go back in time, watch my videos. I've outlined why that didn't happen. But this one, bench impression, it functions. This locks and unlocks, on and off, turns and turns, flexes, right? Like it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, the huge selling point here and why you're thinking like, okay, you just bought one Gen 2, why this one? Well, 3/8 bread and butter plus, again, realistically, these are the only chromies I've got in the Icon line. I kind of wanted to demo them there. Plus, it was 80 tooth versus the 72 of the quarter. If I like this, if it performs well for me, when there's a sale, I'll try to pick up the quarter drive locking flex head instead of the Matco, because again, yeah, it's significantly cheaper. I'll know at that point in time if I'm happy with it, and perhaps more importantly, it functions, right? And I can check it in store, which is great. So granted, you know, if the Matco guy comes by, you could get on his truck. This was ordered online. I should have had something at that price point from an American manufacturer and an American company. I should have had something that functions at the bare minimum. Okay, maybe I'm not happy with the ratchet. Maybe I like something cheaper better. Maybe I like something that's almost as expensive, way better. But this should function, and it still doesn't. And this does, and this is fractions. Literally, almost, probably like almost a quarter of the price. So, you know, there you go. But back to why I would pick this. Very simple. This is kind of 3 ratchets in one, all right? I don't try to glamorize or oversell things when we come in and we have a locking flex head. There are 2 things I'm going to do with, now depending, you know, where it's at and what I'm doing. But in general, there's 2 things, all right? This one's really good at staying fixed or staying flex. And that's exactly what this can do, and that is awesome. If you don't need a flex head, if you don't need a locking flex head, right? I'm talking lock in a weird position where a flex head would kind of bounce a little bit on you. That's the benefit of the locking flex head. But you've got locked straight. This is essentially just a long 3/8 ratchet at this point in time, right? You take everything out of the equation. It's just a fixed head ratchet. If we come in and we flip the switch, right? I've got a flex head. I can go 180 degrees across the horizon. It's great. You know, if I'm sitting here and we've got something that stands up and I'm ratcheting, instead of having to stop here and maybe have a very narrow window, I can just simply raise the handle and continue my work, right? And I'm going to get things done quicker than just having to sit here like this. I can just jump it. You know, you can even spin all the way around, and maybe there's an equilateral lifting bracket or something you're having to go over. It just works really well. It's why I use breaker bars a lot. So you got flex head, you got fixed head, and then like I said, this is a rare situations, but like the first day I took that snap-on to work, I had it, you know, and it was basically an angle similar to this, and I've got the handle out here, and the thing came unlocked, and it sucked. And I try not to use it in those situations anymore because I don't trust it. But this will give you that as well. So it's, again, kind of 3-in-1. That's why they're a little spindier. There's a little bit more involved, more parts, a little more going on, is what it is. So this guy right here, we're able to have locked. This is a fixed position. This has a bit more play. I'll just keep this hand totally still if I can and try to get over here. That's not great, right? Okay, it's clearly locked. We're not like breaking out to, you know, 20 degrees down and 30 up or something, but I would prefer a little bit more robust mechanism to lock it. But that said, if I have something weird, which I'm not gonna lie, at work, the position I like to use the most, and because it's the one that's the most useful for what I'm doing, is 90 degrees. And this is not quite a full 90, which is a shame. I cannot test that. You can see as I've got it where I want it, as I try to lock it, it's not letting me, so I've got to go forward a smidge. Right there, that's about, I know that looks 90, but it's because the camera's at an angle, so we'll just go this way. True 90, there it is. Right, so if we come in, that would be like our 16.5 degrees. It's 16.5, kind of weird, but when you think about it, what's 16.5 doubled? 33. So position 2 is 33, position 4 will be 66, position 6 will be 99, and then if we came in and we added 33 to that, we're going to jump up and we're going to be at, what, 132? So then 16.5 plus minus in your intervals between, not terrible. And again, for me, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh yes, I must have this 16.5 degrees. I use it very often. No. Okay. The vast majority of the time, this thing will either be flex or fixed. Every once in a while, and that's where you can sort of help justify the price over if they had just, say, a standard flex head. It is beneficial to have it locked in position, right? A lot of times, it's not even the access here at the 90 degrees, but basically, I sit there and I'll run a 15/16 heavy freaking socket on something, and while I'm working, right, this is fine, but then whenever I get bolt 1 in and I have to move to bolt 2 and I, you know, take the ratchet, you know, from its position down, and just the head just swings around wildly. And then ultimately what I have to do is kick it back up, try to position the bracket and a bolt in that, and if I could just have that locked at 90, I'm a happy man, okay? But again, that is far. Now granted, if you keep a flex and a fixed and the locking flex is just used for that, yeah, go ahead and set the thing at 90 and crank her down, okay? But if this was like your ratchet in 3/8, it's a 3-in-1 solution. So some of you might have certain applications where you're always in a locked flex position because it's just that task. You have to come in underneath something and man, this is great. Others of you, it might be once in a blue moon, right? In terms of this random spot we stopped at, that is a lot of play. That is not great. I mean, it's not going to like break the bank or something. The Matco, I think, honestly, might be worse. Again, if I just try to keep this, they're very similar. Yeah, I'd say they're very, very similar. It is what it is, right? It's locked. It's not like it's moving out. It's not like the snap-on jumped on me and unlocked, which was bad. Okay. That's got to be denoted, right? Where this Matco, which I really think Harbor Freight should have compared this to the Matco. I don't know why their listing is for snap-on, but if we hold the head as still as we can, that is just an insane amount of play, okay? This is why I don't like this style. They're all like that, okay? Some slightly better, some worse, believe it or not. This one, sealed head. We should see notably less play and that is exactly the case there. There is play, but it's nothing like that design, okay? If we come in now and we take the Icon ratchet, it kicks out, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you get spoiled with Koken, I'll tell you. No issues, it's going to be fine. Pairs well, you know. We'll come in and we have the Gedore that basically lives on that seemingly Matco. Kicked as well. Nothing egregious, it's not like it's rejecting it or anything. If we turn around, let's, we'll do this, okay? This is Mac, but it's RBRT. Plays nice there. And again, I show that because that would be like a Taiwan socket, as I believe would be this Astro. This 14mm flex. If anyone uses, like literally uses, the Icon swivel sockets, how have they held up for you? I'm curious to know. We're now going to come in over here. This head, I believe, I don't have a 3/8 to show you. I think it's thinner than the previous. I could be wrong, but this is an unfair comparison, but I do it because I think this is probably the thinnest 3. This is really the 3/8. This is not the quarter. This thing is 3/8. Okay. It's encapsulated, but it is just stupid how thin that thing is. It's not a great comparison. Maybe from this angle, you can sort of appreciate it a little bit more. Big difference there. That said, when compared to others, like let's just, and this isn't fair either because this is 1/2 inch, but you get the idea, right? This is going to be thinner than an awful lot, but it's, in terms of max thinness, you could find something a little thinner, right? Since I have it here, and I don't have a 3/8 standard Icon to show you, yes, this is quarter. That is marginally larger, so that's a good sign. Again, wish I had a 3/8 Icon flex to show against this, but I don't, so we work with what we've got. Coming in, let's go Japan, right? We'll just do that. This is a Koken. They actually do have a locking flex head, but not like in the zeal that you're accustomed to. Koken's going to be a bit thinner. If we take, conveniently, I paired this with a Koken socket. So try to do all 9/16 and 14 mil this time. Sometimes I go elsewhere. That is pretty good fitment there, not gonna lie. Let's check that back against the Icon. Keep in mind the Icon might look worse because it is semi-deep. I largely went shallow this time. With it engaged all the way, it was good, but kicked out. Yeah, Koken fits well, plays nice. That's the main thing. We want to make sure there's nothing crazy going on. Coming in, Nepros KTC, right? Strong arm of the law there. Very similar. If you've got a Nepros Flex, okay, they're another company. We're not sadly going to have a locking flex head for comparison. That is super close. Let me kick this off and see, just for kicks and giggles, how this pairs. Really well. Yeah, that's a nice setup right there. I did grab a Nepros. More than I bargained for. Did grab a Nepros socket. This is a legit Nepros socket. It's working well. Very strong engagement there. This is KTC. This is deep. I think this is the only deep socket I grabbed. That is a tight fit. Nothing's been like earth-shattering, like, ooh, this is the magic combo, but everything works. And that's what's important to me. Coming in, let's go to Germany, okay? Stahlwille, yes, they actually have a locking flex head. As much as I love Stahlwille's ratchets, this one has a lot of play. I'm not sure it's as bad as the Matco, okay? But I'm pretty sure if I reefed on this, it's gonna fail. Phenomenally good ratchet mechanism, but in terms of the locking, leaves a little to be desired. That is super close. On the end of this, sadly not a Stahlwille 3/8, but a Hazet. Let's check that. Okay, that is a good pairing. That is a very good pairing. That might be the best yet, evidenced by how hard it was to rip off. Let me go back to Gedore. Yeah, the Hazet played very well. I don't know how many people with an Icon G2 are going to have Hazet sockets, but if you do, boy howdy, that's a pretty good little setup there. Coming in now, we will go, let's do Hazet. Again, sadly, no locking flex head, no HP 90 line flex head, but they do have an old school flex head. Again, the Icon going to be a bit thinner than that, as it should be when you think about the generation of that thing. This is sort of a hit and miss, okay, with Wera. It's a Taiwan-based socket, but I thought, let's put it in there just for the heck of it. Lots of play. If we switch and we take the detent out, as you would expect, a lot tighter, but still pretty noticeable play for a shallow socket. I'm surprised Wera doesn't do semi-deeps, in all honesty. Gedore, this is a locking flex, so this one's very much under the radar. Fantastic ratchet. The Icon, if you go ratchet to ratchet, just the head, the Icon's thinner. If you factor in those directional switch and that cover plate, the Icon is significantly thinner. That said, that sucker, yeah, it ain't going anywhere, that one. That's one very cool thing about the Gedore. Let's see, what do we have? We'll go right here. This socket seems to have a lot of problems compatibility-wise. It is from Proto. It is a super shallow. I think it pairs very nicely there. Again, I don't know what it is with that thing, but sometimes like you find a match for it and you're like, wow, that just doesn't seem to fit anything well. OG Craftsman USA 9/16 done a lot with this socket. This is deep. Again, once it kicked, the play considerably more, but again, that's exasperated by the extra length there. But bottom line, it fits, it turns, it'll function. Coming in, we're just about done. We have got SK. We'll go ahead and throw that down. Again, very nice. I'm going to say SK and Hazet seem to have the tightest fitment. Hazet a little bit tighter. SK close and much easier on and off than the Hazet, if that's worth anything to you. Right here, I've got a Koken 5-inch Wobble Fix, because why not? Just when you think you know what's happening, let me throw that at you. That will show you the play. Again, but it fits, it works, it's great news. Coming in, I guess we'll do this, right? I don't know max 90 statuses with locking flex heads, if or when that will happen. I do know this thing is really tight, even with a week of use on it. Very, very close head thicknesses there. Coming in here, we're sticking with Mac. This is the Axis 90, right? This is relatively new. For me, that's been out a while. It's purple handles, that's kind of new. All right. Head thickness, very, very similar. However, this is straight, it's locked. That's a lot of play. Not terrible, but I mean, there's play there. And compared to this, it is terrible. This is, without a doubt, the best fitting that I can find. Now, a knock, you're thinking like, oh yeah, Mac's the way to go. Oh, it even has the screws through the top like he said he liked. Here's the catch, okay? The Matco, as many bad things as we can say about it, despite me loving the aesthetics, it has something that the Mac doesn't. The Icon shares that. This, you're thinking like, yeah, unlock it. Well, I can, but then it's going to lock again. That fitment is so good for a locker. This is a dedicated locker, okay? There is no freeform flex, which sucks because that makes this either a conventional straight or a locking flex head. There's no freeform flex, which is sort of like your 3 ratchets in one. This is a 2-in-1. Fantastic at what it does. If you're going to give up that free flex, you better be a really good locker. And this one is. The Stahlwille is the same way. It does not have a freeform flex. So, advantage Mac. You know, in terms of the ratchet feel, you might prefer Stahlwille. But, factoring in the specialty part of the ratchet, there you go, right? So, right here, everything we've done here 69 bucks. Again, I would recommend buying it on sale, even a deal like this weekend. Grab this, throw some sockets, find something, you know, like you've been needing, or a consumable, glove, whatever, right? Throw it on there, you hit the 75 mark, you just save 10 bucks on your ratchet, okay? So getting this for 60 bucks, that sounds a lot better than getting it for 70. And even at the 70 mark, I don't know that, like, it's not worth it. Like, this is, initial impression wise, it seems to be pretty legit. Like, you know, again, this could get out in the real world and suck. I could break the locking mechanism, we could shear it off, we could break the anvil with, like, you think, oh, 14 inches is going to be great, I need a longer ratchet than my little 7 or 8 incher. Well, maybe you shear the anvil off all the time and it's pointless to you. I don't foresee an issue where this is going to be any more of a burden than the Matco. While this does function, unlike the Matco, you know, consistently, I don't think I can imagine a situation where I rub against something and it accidentally, it could happen, don't get me wrong, but that's really no selling point on the Matco. That should not be like that, okay, in my opinion. This, it would be really rare that you would rub up against something and accidentally unlock this thing. Okay, the snap-on's kind of like a loose cannon. I don't know what it's going to do. This functions. The selector switch, okay, it is raised quite a bit. That's something you might have liked to have seen on a Gen 2, is like recess that sucker a little bit, kind of mill that out and have it not sit as proud, if you kind of catch my drift there. But everything else outside of like using this and being extremely disappointed in the real world, like bench impression, it's pretty good. Now, they did say they'd revised all of this and made this a very strong joint. That's kind of laughable with the Max 90 here, but until I use this thing, I can't really pass judgment. I never had issues with the previous yokes, right? At 70 bucks, I kind of think it's worth trying out, personally. Quarter, I know a lot of people like their long 1/4-inch stuff. Me, yeah, you know, kind of, this would be a bread and butter, kind of everyday type of a ratchet. If quarter's your jam, I don't really think you can go wrong. I think it's 55, so if you get like that 10-ish off of that and get it for 40, like, I mean, those are very good prices for what's traditionally been a very absurdly expensive ratchet. Okay, there's a reason I don't own Gearwrench, and it's the price. We just timed out there, but the reason I don't own Gearwrench is 100% the price. Like, to me, it's nuts to have something that's, you know, not quite like up there, you know, like country of origin that I might prefer, you know, or something, and to be at that price point, that's where I'm like, no. Not happening. I constantly have people tell me I would love to try it. I would assume I will eventually, but with this coming in at 70, that's significantly less than even the Gearwrench equivalent, and I don't know. I think it's got a lot of potential here. So real world use and performance over time will be the main things to monitor moving forward. But for a bench impression, is it perfect? No. Like the ratchet itself, you know, there's some things, you know, that I would do differently or might like to have seen done slightly better. But at that price point, I'll take this bit of slop, right, versus a $230 Matco. It's about on par with it. The tooth, the return, everything seems pretty good. It's not quite the tightest on the comeback, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, again, at the price and for what it is, I don't know that you could go, unless this thing just grenades, right, with torque. And I'm talking just average. I'm not saying like you taxed the thing and really pushed it with that 20-inch cheater bar. No, I'm saying like just regular common tasks you would send out for a 14-inch locking flex head. Unless the thing just grenades or you've got to go to the store to replace it all the time, I think this is a pretty good little pickup here. Now, Harbor Freight routinely launches something and then adjusts the price. I don't know how tariffs might impact that. Maybe you're best to buy it now and the price is going to go up. Maybe if you wait a little while or you get screwed and your store never has it in stock, maybe you're rewarded with like a $5, $10 price drop at some point, right? Either way, I would wait. If this isn't like a deal breaker for you, just hold out for like 10, 20% off type of a thing, or, you know, no limitations coupon type of a deal. And at that point in time, like, even if it's not your favorite, like, it's a pretty decent little piece, it seems. So again, I'm quite perturbed that, you know, like, the handle, we still are stuck with that versus blue or green or any other color like they do in US General and Earthquake and Daytona. They're capable of this stuff, right? It's just like, I want them to really go all in and do well. The comparisons to Snap-on, in this case, you should clearly be comparing yourself to Gearwrench or Matco, in my opinion. Head count, sure, but like, if anyone just looks at that, and that's my crux, that's my bread and butter, it's Matco. Like, if I took this away, you'd be like, oh, he got a new Matco ratchet. You see what I mean? You're not gonna be like, oh, he got a new Snap-on. No. This, you're gonna say Matco or Gearwrench. If that was like a teaser picture somewhere, it's like, oh, he finally tried Matco and it's chrome this time. He's gonna see if it really made a difference with the black chrome. Maybe the switch will function for him. That's your comparison, all right? But all in all, this seems like it's gonna be a pretty decent ratchet. Time will tell. Nothing terribly egregious with it. Could be slightly better, you know, like bench-wise, but when you factor in the $70 mark, I make concessions. Like, I'm willing, as the price goes down, I'm willing to tolerate, you know, more slop in the head, or, you know, the anvil play, or, you know, well, I wish it was a little tighter on the return. At $70, and that's full MSRP right now, pretty nice little pickup, I think. So with that said, if you picked one up, I want to know, what are you doing with it? Are you using it regularly? Is it work? Is it like a DIY at-home ratchet? Did you throw it in your truck just in case, and it's probably never going to be used? If you put this thing through its paces in the, you know, 2 weeks or so that it's been out, what are your thoughts? How does it compare? What were you using previously? Were you a Matco guy and this has changed your mind because it's so much more reasonably priced? Are you like, you know what? That's a great backup to have, but the Matco is way better. Tell people why. Similarly, maybe you had a Snap-on and you're like, you know what, this thing stays locked, I'm going to stick with it. You know, and I'm going to trade it in and buy the 1/4 and the 1/2 inch with the money I make. Is it a deal breaker that it's, you know, opposite of the Mac here, where it's locked all the time, or do you prefer that? I'm sure people have different preferences either way. Whatever your thoughts, whatever you want to talk about, feel free. But again, I'm going to end this because I got to go in and edit it, and that's going to be a mess, and I'm not looking forward to it. It very well may not come out tomorrow because I've got a lot of videos ready to go, and yeah, it's 9 o'clock now, and I got to cook supper, and yeah, we're gonna jet. So, as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little something. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek, YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.